Hmm. Hello, my name is Lavina Sham and my metrics number is 203185.
Hello, my name is Nurina Biha binti Saludin. My metric number is 203899.
Today we are going to be presenting on the radiation protection in food irradiation processing. So, what is food irradiation? Food irradiation is a food safety procedure that employs radiation to eradicate bacteria that can lead to food poisoning, which is a common term for foodborne illnesses. Irradiating food is safe, and numerous federal agencies and intergovernmental groups have endorsed both its efficacy and safety. At the end of the process, the food is not rendered radioactive or has its texture or look altered. Food products are exposed to ionizing radiation as part of the food irradiation process. Irradiating food is characterized as a cold method since it does not use heat to eradicate bacteria. Heat is utilized in other food safety measures uh, like pasteurization and canning, which consumers may be more familiar with. An item of food is irradiated after it is prepared and packaged. Food is transported into a room where it is subjected to a certain level of radiation. The radiation does not linger in the food, instead, it permeates it and destroys or stops the growth of bacteria. Irradiation provides an additional safeguard, but it does not take the place of other food precautionary measures. So, what is radiation protection? While eating irradiated foods does not expose you to or contaminate you with radiation or radioactive materials, exposure to radiation, however, can pose a serious risk to health since it can harm live tissues in microscopic ways. The avoidance or decrease of exposure through the basic protective methods of time, distance, and shielding is a fundamental to radiation protection. Exposure time should be kept to a minimum. Distance from the radiation source should be increased, and as the source or target should always be shielded. Personal dosimeters are used to assess exterior dosage from radiation exposure in the workplace or during an emergency, while bioassay techniques are used to evaluate internal dose from ingesting radioactive contaminants. So, the effects of radiation poisoning or the lack of radiation protection, what happens is the health consequences of ionizing radiation can be divided into two groups. Acute radiation syndrome can develop from tissue effects at high exposure levels, which are usually symbolized by the unit gray and are also known as deterministic effects due to the likelihood that they will occur. Due to the statistically increased risk of radiation-induced cancer for low-level exposures, these risks are referred to as so- stochastic effects and are usually expressed by the unit sievert. Beyond certain limits, radiation can cause acute consequences such as skin redness, hair loss, radiation burns, or acute radiation syndrome in addition to affecting the way tissues and or organs function. At greater doses and higher dose rates, these effects are more severe. For instance, the acute radiation syndrome dose threshold is at 1000 millisievert. The risk is significantly reduced if the radiation dose is mild or it is administered slowly, as there is a higher chance that the damage will be repaired. However, there is still a possibility of long-term consequences, such as cancer, which could manifest years or even decades down the road. These effects won't always happen, but the more radiation is absorbed, the more likely they are to. And so now I'm going to hand over to my teammate Nadia.
Okay, I will continue with implementation of radiation protection in food processing. First, foods such as fresh meat and spices leave processing facilities and arrive at facilities that use radiation to kill germs that can make you sorry um, that can make you sick. And second is at the radiation. Uh, At the irradiation facility, food ride on a conveyor belt through an irradiation chamber. And third, in the chamber, food passes under a beam of radiation. This kills germs by breaking the bonds that hold the germs DNA together. Fourth, once the food leaves the irradiation chamber, most of the germs are destroyed. Uh, Five, the irradiated food goes to grocery stores and food service facilities. And lastly, identify irradiated products by looking for the Radura symbol shown there. It will be on the food label or the product sign with one of these statements: treated with radiation or treated by irradiation. Next, benefits of radiation protection. Irradiation Irradiation can make raw foods safer, such as some fruits and vegetables. Irradiation can also make uncooked foods that you cook at home, such as ground beef, safer. This is because irradiation kills the majority of bacteria in food before you buy it. Think of food irradiation as an added layer of protection against harmful germs that can make you sick. And lastly, conclusion. Food irradiation is a process in which food is exposed to ionizing radiation in order to kill bacteria, insects, and other harmful organisms. Radiation protection in food irradiation ensure that the levels of radiation use are safe for both the food and the consumers. This includes setting limits on the amount of radiation that can be used, as well as implementing strict safety protocols to protect workers and the public from exposure to excess radiation. Additionally, food irradiation facilities are subject to regular inspection and monitoring to ensure compliance with safety regulations. Thank you. That's all from us.